Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Crystals and Coffee. Yum. Well, it's been a minute since I've done one of these, since last month actually. And so just so everybody knows, I'll start doing these about once a month, and we'll just take the whole afternoon and talk to all these really amazing people that are doing super fun things in the mystical world. And today I have a guest on, came to me via 𝗣𝗣𝗟𝗠𝗬𝗠, who is the founder of Crownworks, and you know how much I love her. She is my hairstylist and also the mother of the crystal comb and hair rituals and all these fun things, and also one of my partners at the Crystal Cave. And she met this girl named Tracy, who runs We Are Moon Baby. And Andy told me I had to meet this girl. So, Andy's a dear friend and we have a whole lot in common. And so I felt I also had to explore Tracy's work. So Tracy does palmistry, and this is, a really, in my mind, a lost art that, it's time to surface again. And I think it's actually kind of cool because it's something that you're looking at your hands and you actually don't need an exact birth time to get a reading off of this. So I think that's also really nice. So let me get Tracy on here. And we can hear all about what she does, how she got started, and she's going to talk a little bit about a reading that she actually did for me. Tracy!
Hi!
Hi!
There you are.
There you are.
How are you?
Good.
I almost couldn't hear you.
Oh, really?
It's probably on my end, I'm sure.
Oh, gosh, I don't know why.
Cheers.
Cheers, lady. Cheers.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, my first question is, as I was just telling people, at least in my mind, I feel like, palmistry is something at this point in our existence that we don't get to hear a lot about. Like, we hear a lot about crystals and stuff like that, right? And tarot cards and all these things. And I just would first love to know how this even came upon your path.
Yeah.
Or how did it find you?
Well, I had a friend send me just this random email to go to a coffee shop and watch this woman do like an hour presentation on hands. And I just was like, oh, I'll just, put it on the, back burner. We'll see. Maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. It was clear across town. And then I was like, well, maybe I would go. I was sort of in a space where I'm a musician, singer, and I was looking for ways to sort of engage my craft in more of just a deeper way. And so I've always known what I wanted to do, but was I doing it to the fullest capacity? How could I remove some of those blocks? And so I was, I've always been a seeker, and so I'm trying to figure that out. So this is when I get this email, and the morning of, I completely forgot about it. It would take me like an hour to get there. So I saw the email in that morning and I was like, I'm just going to go. So I just jumped in the car. I arrived late, which was embarrassing.
Whoopsie.
And I walked in, and this woman named Tracy Lorin was teaching, and she did like a presentation, and then for 5 minutes at the end, she would read you. She would just give you like a few minute mini reading. And she literally had me in tears in like 2 minutes. And I was completely floored by what I had heard. So I signed up for a full reading. which then turned into come to a weekend training course. And then that turned into a month long, and then a year long. And then 4 years later, I was a certified hand reader. Very unexpected. So mostly I was doing it to try to learn about myself and try to understand what was going on. And ultimately ended up loving reading people. Probably have been doing that since I was a kid, just to try to figure things out. Right. So then I had this like way to do it that made so much sense, and it was so empowering. So that's how.
I love that. And, again, when Andy said I had to talk to you, I was like, well, yeah, of course.
I love her so much.
I love Andy too. I think she's on here. Andy, we love you.
We love you.
So just as being someone else that's in the mystical arts, I don't see a lot around palmistry training. So, and again, when the student is ready, the teacher will show, and I know your path was perfect and it found you and all the things, but where the heck did you go? Like palmistry school? Like, where is this?
I know. Well, there is actually a place in San Francisco called the Institute of Hand Analysis.
Really?
So it's very sciencey and bizarre.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's, been there forever. And my teacher and mentor came from there. And she came down to Los Angeles and created her own teachings. We even incorporate the Enneagram and...
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so it's a very full spectrum of training that a course that she created. It was supposed to just be a year, and it just kept expanding because we were just deepening, and understanding so much. I mean, it's so complicated. I still can't believe what the hands tell us. Like, I don't, it's crazy. So you can go and you can train and you can learn. Our books are like phone books, like huge stacked phone books. So there is an actual place that it all came from. And then I would say that you end up incorporating your own intuitive gifts, and however that looks for you, whether it's synthesizing information or tapping in energetically or, empathically, like whatever. And it's complicated to thread the whole thing together. I think that's like where the magic happens.
Yeah. I had a question. I was thinking about this. Because, it's one of those things. It's like when you see someone, they're reading a crystal ball or they're reading your hand, you're like, oh, gypsy. Like it just has that stereotype feel to it. Do you know where it actually started? Like on our earth, like what community or continent or group of people? Do you know where it came from?
Well, there is the ancient art of palmistry, which is like, reading the palm and telling your future. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I would have to look that up, honestly. I'm not sure. Yeah. I
thought about it too, because there's so many things about where you can trace herbs and oils. Okay, it came from these cultures. These people were using crystals. These people were doing this. These people were doing that. Like, and I thought I was like, I just don't know. And to be honest, you're in the 15 years that I've jumped down the mystical rabbit hole. You're the first palmistry person that I've met.
Really? Cool.
Truly. So super excited.
It is remarkable. I know. It's so cool.
So I actually had gotten a little picture here I want to put up. It'll be picture in picture of the hand. One sec, let me find it.
Look at all these comments. Hi, guys.
Okay, so you can see that now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to put that up because just to give people the 101 about what the heck is going on, I was like, I think this, could help if we had a diagram. Could you talk to everybody about what the hell's happening on their hand that they don't realize?
Sure. Absolutely. So there's the palm and then there's your fingerprints. On this diagram, you're seeing the major lines in the hand, which tend to not change too much in your lifetime. The little tiny markings like X's and hatches and things like that come and go and shift and change, depending on many things. And obviously your fingerprints never change. So when I see someone's lifeline, I'm going to be looking at like, how grounded are they? How balanced are they? How does their life actually work or not work? Just like around balance and managing time and space and energy, things like that. I love that it says the fate line. I don't call it that. The fate line.
Tell me what it is. I got this. See, look at this. I got it offline. And you're like, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I know. I'm always Googling stuff. I'm like, what? Okay. The fate line for us, I think that's a Saturn line.
Okay.
According to the diagram. So a Saturn line is about your career, and sort of like a trajectory of that, as well as sort of like how conscientious you are. That this, I'm just going to be speaking so generally because it's gets way deeper and like more specific per person. I don't know what a sun line is.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I'm not sure. Let's see. It looks sort of like they combined the lifeline and the fate line, right? Because they kind of go like this, which in hand analysis is actually called a quest mark. And a quest mark is the understanding that that person is going to be trying lots of things in their life, and that the years later on, they'll be able to look at all the million things they did. Probably, if you know you have a quest mark, you can make peace with the fact that you like to try lots of things instead of like feeling like you're not committing all the time, or you're constantly jumping ship. If you fully commit to each of those items, the sum of all those things actually creates a beautiful life, right? And you'll be able to look back and go, oh, I see why I did that, and this piece and that piece, and how they all inform sort of where you end up. The sun line, I don't know what that is because it'd be hard to guess. But there's the headline and the heart line. And so the headline is exactly what it sounds like. It's how we think. It's how we process information. Some of us are more creative. Some of us are more linear. And then the heart line is how we get our needs met, like what our heart actually needs in order to feel deeply fulfilled.
okay.
And so it's a non-negotiable need. Each heart line has that. And you're a fire heart line, girl.
So I heard, I have to, and we'll get to my reading in a second, but Kelly Outlaw, who I know she's on here too, who does my PR and things, she was loosely looking at the reading you sent me. She's like, she nailed your ass to the wall.
Oh, good.
So, pretty spot on. And anybody actually that also has questions for Tracy, please put them in the question box or the feed. One came in already, which I think this is a good question to ask. Does it matter which hand?
Yes. The right hand is more how you are out in the world, in career, and in more casual, like acquaintances. And the left is how you are in relationship, in your more intimate setting.
Oh, interesting. So would that also relate then because the right side of the body is masculine and the left side is feminine? So it's more like, fire, put it out there, like be seen, socialize, and the other one's more like internal, more feminine.
I definitely read it that way myself, as male, female.
Oh, okay, cool. I actually had another question too. When you look at people's hands,
Yeah.
Does it ever relate to their star sign? Do you look at their hands and you're like, that person's an Aries or a Virgo or a Scorp or whatever they are?
This is so complicated. It is something that I love to think about and contemplate, but it's not black and white.
Okay.
Sometimes the lessons in someone's hand, which actually shows up in the fingerprints a lot, is indicative of part of their astrological sign.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can think of an example. I'll give you my own. I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
And I'm also a Cancer rising and a Leo moon. So my lesson in life is sort of around creating boundaries. And that is held in the element of water. So water and the crab, right?
Yeah.
And Cancer. And then I have a lot of fire and things in my hands that are obviously Leo. And boy, I'm lucky I have some Leo because I don't know if I'd leave the house.
Especially as an empath, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll just stay inside again today.
Yeah, it's good. Quarantine it up.
It's fine. Let's see. Kelly actually has a question here. She said, what do little X marks mean in a heart line?
Okay, well, it depends where they are. Sometimes if you have, like, there'll be little X's that hang off the bottom of the heart line down here, if you can tell. They'll look like little kind of X hash marks. We call those dangling angers. And they are what they sound like. There's some anger happening, like possibly some wounds happening around the heart. And then there's the idea, there's also X's like that can be above the heart line. That'll probably be more of a gift marking depending on where it is, which is a whole other topic not related to heart lines.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I can see you better now.
You can see me. All right. Well, I was wondering if I want to show everybody here. I'm going to get out of the way. These are my hands, and holy shit, this was the beautiful picture. I got a reading as well, but this was the picture that came to me. And I love all the symbols and everything on here. And I can see there's like the Superman mark on my middle finger, which I was super curious about. So I was just wondering if you could talk to us about what the heck is happening here, lady.
So much.
I'm just going to cover this so you can talk.
Well, you have several things happening on the Saturn finger and in the Saturn region. But one of the most important parts about your hand is that's part of your purpose. And it's called the mentor. And so, wow, you're just, here to teach and guide and hold like a very big space for people. So, you really got to put on that cape. And and then the Midas touch is around money, and you're a wealth generator. So you have the ability to create a lot of money. The challenge for you is going to be around making that money for yourself. Yeah, you probably have experienced in your life making money for lots of other people.
No comment.
Okay. What else is on there? I don't have my sheet in front of me. I see your fire.
Let's
Do you
see.
want me to talk about each aspect that's on there? Or just...
Yeah, talk about that. And what else? Oh, there was something. I have my entire reading here with me. Something I wanted to ask though was I saw something there's something about a stigmata. I was like, wait, what?
Andy had the same reaction. She was like, what? Why is this called a stigmata? It's just the ability to heal. And it's a gift marking in the hand.
Huh.
So you're a gifted healer with the ability to actually do hands-on healing. And so it's just called a medical stigmata. And the thing that healers have to do is they always have to work on themselves. Healer, heal thyself. So yeah.
Oh yeah. It's funny you bring that up. When you were saying about this having to do with Saturn, the middle finger, the fuck you finger, I had world's worst Saturn return in my life. Oh my God. I did. I'll tell you if you want to know. That was in my late 20s, obviously when it comes for you. I started, like, within 2 weeks, just started hearing voices and seeing dead people walk through my walls in Brooklyn, my apartment, from one apartment to the other. I was having premonition dreams. People were coming up to me on the street telling me I was a healer, like subway weirdos, just offering this up to me. And, it sent me on, well, my healer's journey, actually. And I ended up going to shaman school and studying with teachers. And that was kind of what set me off on this whole path, and eventually leaving fashion. But it was like, it was fucking intense.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was crazy, and I was crying all the time, and I'm like looking around for the ghosts, and just it was a bumpy landing into my 30s.
Yeah, that's so intense. I mean, it makes sense for your hands. You have a huge line of clairvoyance in your hands, and that line is exactly what it sounds like, clairvoyance. But it also can make you feel sort of alienated and kind of crazy when it's really happening, like you just described. And the key for you, obviously, I know you learned this in shaman school, is boundaries. Is going to be around you're holding your own space, your own physical boundaries, and to not let those things come in when you don't want them to.
Yeah, it's as a healer, as an empath, it's the boundaries thing has been an invitation over and over, inside down, and what is that? Inside out and upside down.
Yeah.
It's been a recurring theme always. And it comes in a bigger way, right? You're like, oh, I fixed my boundaries here with this or this, and then it like comes in bigger, and you're like, okay, well, now you get to look at it on this bigger scale, and then a bigger scale.
I'm so glad you noticed that. You noticed that. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So the more that you are evolving as a person, the louder our lessons actually get, so that we can evolve our purpose even greater. So that makes perfect sense. I'm not everybody realizes that, but that's really cool that you noticed.
Well, the boundaries lesson has been a gift that keeps on giving to me.
Yeah. Well said.
I want to know, I don't even know if I'm saying this right. The 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 is a mark in the hand. Okay.
And it's actually like a division between Mars and Venus.
Oh.
So it's learning how to get those two talking. So when you have your desires that are coming from Venus, that you're able to take action on those desires.
So balancing the masculine and the feminine.
It's a little bit of a balance, but it's actually, I feel like it's more about listening to and really honoring those deep Venus desires. Did you say Venusian? Is that what it is? For Venus? Anyway.
Oh, yeah, Venusian. Yeah.
Venusian, I love that word. Okay. And so it's about really allowing those desires to not be ignored and taking action and moving forward. So it is the masculine coming into the feminine.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see what else to ask you about here. The appreciate the compliment here. You said I have a line of genius in my pinky finger over here. What is that?
Yes, you have many lines of genius. Ooh. You have what's called a message for the masses. So that is on your Mercury finger, and it is telling you to do more, to get your message out more. You need to be heard more. So it's a gift marking. Gift markings always come with a penalty of sort of their opposite, of not speaking up or not speaking your truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing, because there was this, I mean, I could really get into this if you want to, but when you think about it, okay, as healers, we both are here. When you think about it, most healers carry, and I think this also is now coming with a question. Most healers carry, to me, the energetic marking, which normally ends up being some kind of like throat issue, whether it's thyroid problems or throat surgery or sinus strip or that whole thing, that, we all have this old narrative, this ancient fucking narrative, of, when we are medicine people or midwives or shamans or witches or any other word you want to use there, that the old narrative is, when I speak my truth, I die for it. You would think about it. You would be the court seer, and you told the king, oh, well, if you do this in battle, like, this is what's going to happen, right? So, like, just don't do that. And they didn't listen. And then, the bad thing happens that you said was going to happen. And then they're like, she cursed me, right? And you're like, actually, no, I was trying to help you, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Or you think about it like midwives were giving birth to babies in the dark ages, and the baby came out with a mole on its body, and they were like, that midwife, cursed that mother. That baby has a marking of a witch. She's a witch. She cast a spell. Let's kill her. And so there's this narrative of female healers for, the last 700 years, that every time we were trying to help somebody, we would pay for it. And, how does that, like, so we lived a bunch of lives, we reincarnated, now it's 2020. And like, how does that show up for people? It is still, there's that, that residue to be healed, that, well, no, when I speak my truth now, I am heard, I am respected, I'm safe, all these things. And I see that so much, definitely in myself, and also as other healers, that it's been this huge journey to get whatever it is out. Like, I felt like a huge fucking freak. And when I started telling people, I'm like, oh, I'm a psychic. Oh, whatever this I see ghost, it was terrifying, because I was like, I had that feeling, which I couldn't name at the time, that like, it wasn't safe to tell people that.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way?
Yes.
Let's have a healer therapy session right now.
Well, first of all, I'm a singer, so I am of the voice, right? But I grew up with like chronic tonsil problems. So, and I'm always like, when I get aura readings or something, they're like, throat chakra. I'm like, blue, everything, I lost my train of thought. So,
throat healer, burned at the stake. Singer.
I have found that most of the time I have people telling me I'm a healer. And I find that my way through the years of like not honoring my own gifts or whatever, intuition, is to not really talk about it. And I just do the work through palmistry, and I just allow it to just show up. But it took me a while. I mean, this website that we just put up for Moon Baby is brand new, and I've been reading hands for a long time now. So yeah, I'd have to contemplate that some more, but for sure I've been impacted by feeling like a freak.
Yeah.
And not knowing how people would respond to it. I don't even always know how I'll respond to it. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
For myself, so.
Yeah, there's been, or even times like, you know, as a fellow empath, I'd be working with someone, even in a distance session, and I'd start to feel their throat stuff.
Yeah.
I would start choking.
Definitely.
Like, I'm like, I have to stop a minute. I have to drink. Like, I have to clear this. I have to clear your shit, basically.
Yeah.
But it's like wild, like like strangulation, can't breathe type of thing.
I have things come up in readings like that as well. Especially if someone's really panicky, start to feel panicky. I've had that many times. I also do a lot of hands-on body work, massage. And so through all the years of doing massage therapy, I'm just, you know, you're working with that energy and feeling it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Someone had a question. Okay. Citrine Raven asks, hi, ladies. How about triangles and diamond looking shapes? Years ago, I remembered a reading where they were mentioned. What do you know, Tracy?
So much. No. The diamonds and triangles?
Diamonds? She said diamonds. How about triangles and diamond looking shapes in your hand, I guess? Years ago, I remember a reading where they were mentioned to her.
Many times it just depends on where. I don't exactly read them as certain shapes, but often like a blocked heart line will look like a diamond shape. It looks like it takes this diamond shape at the end of the heart line, like, put my cup down, like up in between here, you'll see maybe a diamond shape. And that is like showing me a frozen heart line, which sounds extreme, but it's just, you know, a restriction around your needs and what you need and getting those needs met. So sometimes it shows up like that. Yeah, usually something that's encased in another shape is some sort of blockage. That would be like kind of the general way to explain it without seeing those hands.
Wow, that's so interesting. You were also telling me, you said I had fiery hands. Do you, like, is it in the same way that you would associate someone's hands with the 4 elements?
Yes.
Kinda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vivacious, exciting, like to be busy, creative, passionate. The non-negotiable need for fire heart lines is passion.
Yeah.
That's like the hierarchy. So if you're ever wondering like what your needs are, because we have all the needs. We need connection, we need meaning, you know, we need space, freedom, all those things. But for fire, and you're double fire, and your fire heartlands are beautiful. They're very clear.
What is double fire? Is each hand an element?
Yeah.
Are they read separate?
Yeah, I read them separately, but you have both fire. Yep.
Oh, wow. Double fire. So you could have any combination of the 4 elements as your hands, and then you're also thinking that that's going into the masculine and the feminine side. And wow. Okay. I didn't realize
much so.
that.
I think it's what's really fun about hands is when there are 2 different heart lines happening. With fire, it's straightforward. Like if you have fire in the right, when I meet you, you're going to be fiery. And then whoever you get into relationship, your needs are going to still be passion. But sometimes people's heart line changes when they get in relationship. So let's say someone has a water heart line in the right hand and they're dating somebody and they're like nurturing and caretaking, which is what the water heart line does. And it wants emotional connection and it's like needy and like, you know, really awesome. And then you get into relationship with them and their needs actually change. Let's say they are earth in relationship. That means they need the opposite. They need freedom. They need time alone. They need to hermit. They need to be by themselves. So the relationship, the person in a relationship is like, hey, where's my dinner? Why aren't you like greeting me at the door? Why are you in your room? Like, what, you know, it changes. And so they're like, God, who are you? But the thing that's nice to know is if you have that difference or change, you can tell your mate, hey, yeah, I used to want to cook you dinner, but now I need 10 minutes when I get home to take off my bra, say, and be alone.
You need to let him loose, lady.
Let him loose. And, you know, and then I can connect. And so, yeah. That's fun. I love that about Heartlines, though, when people get to learn that.
And would you say it's more common or uncommon? Do people normally have the same hands or different hands with the elements? Like, is there
nothing? No stats on that. That's completely a mixed bag.
Mixed bag. Okay, cool. Yeah. Someone named Carly has a question for you. What does a fork at the end of a heart line mean? Left hand or branches at end of heart line?
Good question. Very good question. It depends on the heart line. I'll give a couple examples. If there is a heart line, let's say your heart line is, this is a little heart line lesson. You can all look at your own hands now. Okay. If you have a fire heart line, and I do, so it's curving up here. And let's say it has a branch that kind of branches off towards, this is your Jupiter finger, right?
Right.
That would then be called a bent fire heart line. And so what that heart line is doing is misbehaving a little bit.
So Carly's naughty is what you're saying.
She could be if she has fire heart line. That's
Carly, are you naughty?
And so if it bends, that means that she's acting more like water. She's like, I'm going to nurture and take care of you, but secretly I really need I want to get my needs met. Huh. So it's not manipulative intentionally. It's innocent. It's like people with bent fire do want to nurture and take care, but they have to take up a little more space around their desires and what they want. It's important to be saying, I want this, and now I can take care of you. So it's a little bit riskier. And so that's one way. A fork at the end of other heart lines usually could be like what's called an air rod. That just means it's similar. The heart line is acting like something else, or allowing like extra analysis to come in instead of, you know, taking up the space it has to take up to get its needs met. It's yeah, something like that.
Carly wrote back, winky smiley. She's a Leo sun.
Oh, nice.
Yes, yeah. I'm assuming that makes sense. Oh, I love that. Let's see. Other questions. What does that say? Does that say Jupiter stars?
Yes.
What's happening right there?
Yeah. Okay. So Jupiter stars, this relates to your lesson also, for you. Jupiter stars are around being empowered, and being a leader, and like claiming what you want, but physically out in the world. It's kind of around, well, I'm not going to say it's around self-actualization. That's a little bit more just specific to you. But the Jupiter star itself is showing up in the hand when you are deferring your power, or sometimes giving your power away. But it's telling me that's bullshit. Don't do that, because you are the power.
Yeah.
You're the powerful one.
Which comes in with the boundary lesson.
It certainly does.
Yeah. I always, I mean, again, because I'm, you know, talking to myself as well, you know, with the healer archetype, I feel like I always have this conversation with other healers. It's like, you do actually have the energy to come into a room and hold the room up. Like, you are energetically that strong of a beast. But it's, you know, it's not about holding the room up. It's about holding space for the room to move as it as it wants to. And, healers get into like doing
Yeah.
instead of even just being in the room, because everyone's like, come fix my problems. You're at a cocktail party. Can I dump all my shit on you in the corner? I know I never met you, but here, I feel so comfortable with you. And
Oh my God.
here it is. And instead of being like, I got to go to the bathroom and, just exiting, you're like, still listening. 45 minutes later, still going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That
you need to have those
go ahead.
You need to have those like one-liners to cut those situations. It's so hard.
It is so hard. I always tell my clients, I'm like, you have to, when you go out in public as an empath, you have to have an exit strategy. Like, whether you're at the grocery store or a public function, you have to, because, I don't know what it is, but people just see you and they're like, I'm going to go dump all my shit on that person.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know why I feel so comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, no, you don't.
It's like the kiss of death when somebody says that, like a random stranger in public. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Like, I really I was trying to do this with my moment right now, my day. And now it's getting derailed. I've had people follow me. Like, I'm like, I gotta leave, go leave. I'm going to go in my car now and leave. And they'll like follow me to the car. I'm like, oh God.
Wow.
So it can be pretty intense. So yes, to your point, boundaries has been a very loud lesson.
Yes, that is your number one thing to work on in this life. Yep.
I will. I have been, and it just keeps coming back.
Yeah. And, like we talked about earlier, as it gets bigger and louder, just say thank you. I must be evolving. And this is now my next opportunity to learn how to manage the feelings around that and still take action on my own behalf. And
I've definitely gotten better at it. I mean, I remember, when I had my Saturn return, when all this stuff started happening, I had zero boundaries whatsoever. Just there helping other people all the time and giving absolutely nothing to myself.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, I was like, what do you mean boundaries?
Yeah.
Right. I remember my first teacher said, you need to work on your boundaries. I was like, what do you mean?
Why?
Yeah. Why? What? We have another question here. Okay. So, does she read fingertips as well as the palm?
Hey, the question just showed. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I'm sorry, I have to adjust myself. So the fingertips are the fingerprints. Oh, they're so good. They're so amazing. I could just read everyone's fingerprints, because the fingerprints tell us the purpose and the lesson and what we call the school in hands. So you're in this lifetime signing up in like a particular, maybe like university, to study a particular broader subject, and then you work on your lessons and your purpose within that school. So yes, to answer the question, I read the fingerprints.
Oh, that's so amazing. And you were saying with the hands, obviously besides your major lines in your hands, just depending on, as you go through your life, everything else is going to change. Is that true? Like if you saw someone 10 years from now, it would be a different detail.
Yes. I mean, it can change. It just depends how much you're changing. But you'll definitely, if you were really watching, you would see little stars and lines come and go. I know, it's wild. Or like I grew like a little branch on my heart line once. I was like, whoa, I grew a branch on my heart line. I was just in a space of like really claiming what I wanted at that time. And so it was just developing my fire heart line was just getting stronger. So it was kind of cool to see that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I was actually hoping, because I have all my stuff here for my reading, but if you could tell people like walk them through the process of like what happens when they get a reading with you.
Okay. So before COVID, I used to meet you in person.
Sure.
You would come over and I would read your hands. So now what I've done is we have an online mailing situation. So you get a printing kit in the mail, and it teaches you, there's a video as well as just paper that explains how to print your own hands. And there are these really cool like ink sheets that you apply to each hand, and through the instructions you'll follow and learn how to do that as well as your fingerprints. And then you'll mail that back to me. And then I will do a reading, which, as Colleen can tell you, it looks like several sheets of paper.
Yeah, I'm going to show
like
them.
kind of like a chart. Yeah. So, and then it just has like an explanation of all these different things, and it's not expected for you to completely understand everything. And then I also do the artwork one. Usually I didn't have Colleen's handprints, but usually, yeah, I had photos. So we made the art this way. But usually I'll write on the actual handprints different things. And then you'll get an email from me that has all of the goodies. And then we set up a phone call, because there is a lot to go over, and there's a lot of jargon and words that you'll be like, well, I could kind of make something up about what that means, but you might not be super sure. So, and then we do a reading on the phone after.
It's
or
so awesome.
Via video, whatever you want.
I saw, if anybody's curious, to see it, Andy, she posted the full print, right, that you wrote on, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. If anybody that wants to see what Tracy's talking about, she kind of went rogue when she did my picture, which I love it. But her traditional style, if you go to Andy's Instagram, crown_works, she just posted her prints of what you were doing in her reading, if anybody wants to see that. And how long does it normally take for a reading?
At least if you're in person with me, it's usually a good hour. Mm-hmm. The other process, this online process, is a little more involved, because there's a lot of charting happening, and then, obviously ignoring the time of the mail for you to mail your prints back. That's silly, but at least an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you, because I know, again, you're like part palm reader extraordinaire, part therapist. How often do you recommend somebody come back if they feel called to like get a palm reading? Is that like a once a year? Is it a...
That's such a good question. I don't actually know. That's a very good question. If I'm working with somebody ongoing, maybe every few months we'll speak and I'll see where they're at. It takes a while to sort of integrate the information. It's one thing to understand it intellectually, but it's another, obviously, to how does that look? How does that really look? And that's what I would help somebody with. Because the information won't really change that much. It's not like I'm going to look in your hand and go, oh, your heart line is completely different, or now you have a new purpose. It's not really like that, but it's about evolving and deepening your own life experience.
You're like, oh, your old friend Boundaries is back.
Oh, okay.
You're like, you're still working on that. Have you ever, and I wish again, whatever, my first near death was at 19, so I don't have my prints to show you before then, but that's a really big change moment, right? When someone has a near death experience. Have you ever seen somebody's their palm prints that like before and after a near death that like,
wow, that would be so
have
amazing.
you ever seen that?
No.
Okay.
You've had several, right?
I've clocked in at about 7 so far, all different.
we have to talk about that. Either here or later, but that's just like intense.
It is intense. I had my, I had a small one when I was little. I almost drowned, but the biggest near death I had when I was 19, I got extremely sick with a virus of unknown origin that no doctor could ever figure out what it was. My parents actually signed papers to the entire U.S. medical community to open my case to anybody that would look at me because it was so strange. And I basically just started dying, and all my organs were shutting down. I was in a coma. I lost a lot of my short-term memory, and my parents were trying everything, obviously. And then eventually, oddly enough, they started to get a little bit more into the, anything wooey. They were going to try anything to get me healed. And I ended up seeing a herbalist that gave me some really stinky tea potion stuff. And within 2 weeks, I just started to get better. It was a long journey after that, because when you get physically ill like that, the mental and emotional portion of that, when you're like, you're like, okay, I just almost died, right? Like you have to kind of wrap your head around that. So I had really bad anxiety and depression for like another year after that. And then I went back and finished my college degree and kept on going. But it was like 2-ish years of being real sick.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest near death I've had so far.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So far. Wow. I have to hear about all of them eventually. That is intense. Yeah, I haven't read anybody before and after that kind of situation that I'm aware of.
Okay. I was just wondering about that, because that feels just such like, I would probably assume one of the biggest like life altering things that would make your prints look different, right? You just went through a major life change.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that does occur when you're ill or dying is things fade in the hand a lot.
Oh.
Things get lighter. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that. And then, yeah, I'm going to have to think about it.
I was just curious, or any, you think, I mean, because obviously like a near death, that's, I guess you could kind of call that a rite of passage. But any other rites of passage, like, oh, I got married, or, oh, I, switched careers, or, oh, I did this, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you go through anything transformational and big events, that depends for each person what that's engaging in their hands. But if you have some huge transformation, perhaps like maybe in the Pluto zone of the hand, some of the what we call Pluto rain maybe will go away, or other things that will show up and change just based on that specific transformation.
Okay. We have another question here.
Okay.
What about scars from hand surgery?
Scars? Yeah. I love this one. I haven't talked about scars in so long, but I read them. I just incorporate them into the reading, like wherever they are, in the hand. Definitely
scars or tattoos with really good stories.
Same thing with freckles. Yeah. Same thing with freckles and warts. All those things have meaning in the hand.
Island.
Did I lose you?
If you have a little...
just froze.
I know, that was weird. Well,
yeah.
Mercury just went direct today, so I'm sure it's the last little like, hey, bye guys, miss ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I won't miss you. Well, Tracy, Instagram's going to kick us off here in a second, and I just wanted to thank you for sharing your gift with everybody. And I have Tracy pinned down here. We are Moon Baby, so go follow her or get a reading from her. It's amazing. Andy was floored, and I'm floored, and I just it's been a really good experience, and everybody should experience your gift.
Thank you so much for having me. So cool. Thank you for all the questions, and come visit me on Insta.
On Insta, yeah, since I can't come and see you in person. All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Bye.